I'm not trying to be difficult here and I'm not trying to be cute, but the directions did not tell you to put the ground wire from the control plate to under the bridge. Now it's time to install the pickup into the bridge. It's a carnival game and it's maddening. So the pickguard I went with was a vintage, what's it called? An aged white humbucker tele pickup from Guitar Fetish. When you attach the neck, like everything else in this process, you gotta take your time, but I made a mistake on the other side. So what happened was I drilled my holes, but I hadn't drilled deep enough on one of the holes. It's wiring time. This week on the Learning Curve. Hi, I'm Spencer Dobson. If this is your first learning curve, thank you for stopping by. I am right in the middle of building a StewMac Telecaster kit. Previous episodes, I discussed the finish. I showed you how to put the neck on. I put the tuning pegs in. I shaped the headstock. There's a playlist. It'll somewhere in there. Click on that. That'll show you all the stuff. So, yeah, go watch that. That'll tell you where we got here. That will tell you how we got here. This week I'm going to wire it up. Now, if you watched last week, you know that I was initially going to build the StewMac kit as intended, but I was going to build it the way they wanted it first, and then I was going to switch it to the way I wanted it. But I couldn't justify putting on their pickguard just to show you a black pickguard on a blonde telly, and then have the pickguard that was going to live on it forever be a little hinky for the rest of the life of the guitar. So I just decided to move right ahead and do it the way that I did it. The original setup is super easy. It's just a couple of solders. It's in the directions. You'll figure it out no problem. If you're planning on doing this, it's like 2, maybe 3 solders tops. So yeah, you have to solder the jack and solder the pickups, but it's really straightforward and really simple. You'll be fine. So what I've decided to do, instead of doing what came with the package, is to get a 4-way switch, because that gives me more configuration options. I've decided to add a treble bleed, and I'm putting in a capacitor or a resistor that balances out the single coils and the humbuckers on the 500K pots. I have a whole episode. I previously did an episode about this modification, and it's here somewhere. If you click on the thing, it'll show you the who, what, why, where, and how to do that. It's a really simple mod, and it makes a difference. So check that out. So like I said, I kind of went off-road doing this guitar and decided to make the guitar I wanted instead of the guitar they sent me. And I learned something. If you're going to do that, put it together before you paint it, just to make sure everything fits. Because what I've ended up having to do is take a Dremel with a diamond tip and go in and make the cavity that the electronics go in bigger so that everything will fit. And then I finished it off with some 60 grit sandpaper just to make sure I had plenty of room. And that all went fine, except the Dremel got away from me a couple of times, and now I get to do a video about how to fix chips in your finish that you put there by expanding electronics cavities after you already did the paint job. Hooray! Content! So I got an all-parts 4-way Oaks Grigsby switch off of Amazon. It cost a little under $14. If you Google 4-way tele switch, you will find there's a couple of interesting things you can do with it. I may do a future episode where I wire up some of the other options available for this configuration. And I did not have to look very hard to find these schematics. The schematics I looked for are single coil bridge, humbucker in the neck, 4-way switch. Piece of cake, right? So here's what I found. Okay, there's one where it's humbucker in one position, single coil in the other position. Then the middle positions are the bridge with the neck and single coil, and then the bridge with the neck in humbucker. Okay? Then there's a wiring where, once again, you get the humbucker, you get the single coil. Then the middle two positions are the neck and the bridge in parallel, and then the neck and the bridge in series in the next position. That looks cool, and I'm probably going to try that once I'm ready to crack that open and start rewiring stuff. Right now, what I'm going to do is simple and hopefully useful, and that I think is ideal for what I want. What I've got is position 1 is the bridge. Position 2 is the bridge, and then the neck pickup is split, so that's in single coil. Position 3 is the neck pickup in single coil, and position 4 is the neck pickup humbucker. Okay, I'm using a Guitar Madness wide range style El Nico 5. The wiring is black north start, white north finish, red south start, green south finish. I think if you're going to do this, your best bet is to just go look at the schematic, which I have posted in the comments. But here is a quick run through. You take the red and the white wires, those are the starts, you twist them together, you solder them to the third lug, then you run a jumper to the second lug. Then you run the black wire to the fourth lug, and then you run the green ground to the volume pot. Then you run a wire from the second lug on the outside, I guess we'll call it, of the switch to the fifth lug on the inside of the switch. Then run the white wire from the bridge to the fourth lug on the outside and a jumper to the third lug on the outside. Now do the black wire on the single coil to the ground on the volume. Ground the third lug on the volume and run a wire from the third lug to the ground ring on the output jack. Run a wire from the middle of the volume to the hot ring on the output jack. Run a ground from the tone to the volume. Run a wire from the fifth lug on the outside of the switch to the first lug on the volume. Run a wire from the first lug on the volume to the middle lug on the tone. And then put your cap on the third lug on the tone to the ground. While we're here, I got a Mojo Tone Treble Bleed from Sweetwater. Cost me $3. It's basically a treble bleed allows you to maintain your tone at lower volumes. It allows the treble to bleed through. See, sometimes when you lower your volumes, your pickups get a little muddy. So this will prevent that. Basically, it's a 22K resistor in series with a 471 PF capacitor. The installation's super simple. You're just soldering it to lug 1 and lug 2 on the volume pot, then you're done. This is a very simple mod to do. What you are doing is running a 500K resistor from the lug on the switch that the white wire from the single coil is attached to. It's the third down on the outside, and you just run from that lug to the ground on the volume pot, the back of the volume pot. Okay, let's see how it sounds. Okay, she is wired. Now next week, I'm going to dial in the neck, and it was a bigger project than I thought it would be, and I think you're going to find it interesting. So I hope you'll hang out and check it out. In the meantime, have a great week. If you like the show, please subscribe at Instagram. Please subscribe to the channel here. If you have questions or comments, please ask away. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're taking care of yourself. Try to be nice to each other. We'll see you next time.